Well, today let's take a look at what the Afrocentric Mr. Imhotep tries to pretend is a reality. We're going to look at pharaohs of Narmer. You see, he's already run himself into the ground enough that Caucasians were there until the first, so now he's going to try to claim it was a black man that started it and then they folded. Pay attention here.
When thinking about Kemet, most of us see many visuals. We tend to think that what is presented to us is innocent, but the truth is that there's usually a political agenda. I noticed it recently when I checked the covers of many of my books about that topic. I saw pictures like these.
He noticed whenever he tried to look up Egypt and see if he could find any West Sub-Saharan Bantus, that what he ran into is people with a Caucasian phenotype from the earliest dynasties, as shown as this first picture there, on a crystal blue-eyed Caucasian. Who's down on the bottom also here now again. That's Maitri. The other one was Per-Nefer. We know their names. We know everything about them. What we don't know is how blacks can try to pretend that they was whiteys, because that's what they're trying to claim. He's self-exposing the fact that when he tries to look up Egypt and tries to find a Bantu, what he keeps finding is Caucasians, many of them with crystal blue eyes, as I've shown so many times. What does he whine about next?
Notice that what's usually put on the front tend to reflect an image of Kemet that meets Western beauty standards. But these visuals aren't necessarily the best to reflect Kemet.
These are actually the portrait burials that are done later. This is way late in the dynasties, coming into the Roman times. You might think that the lady on the bottom there is a Roman lady, but she's not. Just like you might think that this lady on the top might be something other than a green-eyed Caucasian lady. She does look a little Mediterranean. To me, she does look like somebody from Italy. But isn't that telling, because she's from Egypt? Let's see what else he tries to show.
I also noticed that some depictions were clearly ignored despite the fact that they represented the most important figures of that city.
He noticed that whenever he looks it up, he's finding during the pyramid dynasties here, crystal blue-eyed statues and very pale Caucasian women and men that have a tan. And crystal blue eyes are on every one of these statues. This is a representation I've used. Well, what do we know about Egypt? Well, we know the earliest dynasties created these incredible, lifelike statuaries for important people. And those important people were down the lineages of quite a few pharaohs and so on, and it led to that. But he's really just sitting here whining on the fact that, well, everybody keeps telling me that they were West Sub-Saharan Bantu, but I can't find any. In fact, the Bantu didn't know Egypt existed. So what kind of stupid thing am I embracing all my life? Racistly and hateful, untrustworthy.
Civilization. So, people are more familiar with the faces of random inhabitants.
They'll take any crack nose portrait that they can find, and if it's got the nose cracked off of it, well, we all know what that means. That means it must be a West Sub-Saharan Bantu somehow, right? Or no? Well, we have other pictures of the same pharaoh right here and on bas-reliefs on the wall, and no, he doesn't have any prognathism or anything associated with any sub-Saharan type of people. In fact, they weren't even allowed into Egypt by known decrees. But that doesn't stop them from claiming we was whiteys.
Who meet Western beauty standards than those of the true rulers of Kemet, who looked more like indigenous Africans.
No, they look more like Caucasians. And if you try to pick this picture, which has actually been photoshopped and spread out to make his nose look wider and everything, it's well known. A few hundred videos ago, or a few thousand videos ago, I showed you this picture And then I showed you somebody who just took a picture of the same thing, and you're like, hold on a minute. Why are they manipulating the pictures to make a lie? It's pretty disgusting. And by pretty, I mean, looky here.
This is what Pharaoh Narmer, first ruler of the unified Kemet, looked like.
That's not what Narmer looked like. This thing wasn't even found in a tomb or associated with a burial or anything. It was found in a Cairo market from tomb robbers. Sure, it looks like it's way up into the earliest of dynasties, but this is not Narmer. It was touted as such, or it was Menez. And the problem with that is Menez is mythological. Narmer is not.
Like, this is another depiction of him.
Looks like Elvis to me. Not a West Sub-Saharan primitive for sure. Not a Sub-Saharan in any way, shape, or form. In fact, they're not even in Sub-Sahara. They're in Egypt, in North Africa. Northeast to be more appropriate.
You can clearly see that according to both depictions, he seems to have a broad nose with large nostrils. And when we add to that the dark brown...
So what we've done here is take the photo and spread it wide. So that nose can get wider. We really want that nose wider, because then we can lie about it more whenever this is a fake depiction. Again, this is not Narmer. This is something they found in a Cairo market. Have no idea where it was even gotten from or anything, so it has no logical connection to Narmer itself. We could say it looks like him, but we'd have to unphotoshop it down to the way it regularly looks. Then again, he did just show the earliest Egyptians and the ones that are the pyramid builders, and ironically, none of them are Negroid in any way, shape, or form. And he's kind of confused because he feels like he knows Narmer was a Bantu somehow. What does he try to turn this into? I want you to look at the phenotype, even though it's been spread and everything, from a guy that I guess might look a little like Babe Ruth. Into what?
Complexion of Upper Egyptians, we have typical tropical features. Based on that data, I decided to recreate his face, and
based on his jealousy, he decided to recreate the face of Narmer and try to input a Bantu. That's crazy, because that nose is not the nose we were looking at. Those lips aren't the lips we're looking at. And this is just a Bantu with face makeup on that he's drawn on with a marks a lot. And then he's taken and clip art wise tried to take and put a pharaoh's mask upon a Bantu and then go, hey Bantu, I know you hate yourself. Here's something to believe in. We was the Caucasian Egyptians. This is making blacks look like a joke on the world stage. And it's not going away anytime soon. A lot of us have realized that once the genetics came out and everything, then that nails the coffin. But they just pretend that doesn't work. I showed in a recent video with a multi-parter on a guy saying that DNA doesn't prove anything. They'll try that on you. Do you believe it? Well, blacks will believe it. So now they have to believe 3 lies that people in all of the world know are lies. And if they can believe those 3 lies, then somehow, some shape, form of happening, a West Sub-Saharan Bantu, we was Egyptians. Have you noticed that the locals that are there that are trying to usurp, like the Ethiopians and people of the Horn of Africa and so on, they don't ever try to say this. They know for a fact. On Chief X's channel recently, I was on there while a Horner was on there, and as soon as Mr. Misinformation Man came on and started talking crap, he turned around and told him, y'all need to quit using our name in your mouth. Here, let's take a page from Will Smith. Keep my name out your mouth. You aren't us. Quit saying we and pointing at us, because that's foolish, because you are you, the West Sub-Saharan pre-Neolithic non-biblical Bantu that didn't even know these people in the Horn exist that you're trying to usurp And then you're trying to lie about how they somehow had a part in ancient Egypt. It's disgusting and self-exposing. Well, we'll go on to the next one. He puts out these at least once a day, it seems. Although we can tell now he's running out of topics and he's got people looped, he thinks, or caught on that fish hook. So he thinks he can actually show all kinds of Caucasians from the earliest dynasties all the way through, even in Roman periods, and then tried to insert a Bantu somehow into that. Imagine how this looks to anybody who has a brain. Peace.